One of the most important questions in relationships is how should we split our finances in our relationship? And this is obviously a hot topic for many reasons because there are various schools of thought around this. And what we're going to share with you today is our reasons of why you should have separate bank accounts in your relationship and the reasons why that is. And obviously, as we list through this, and you can link them to your relationship and figure out, yeah, that sounds like us, so that doesn't sound like us. So you can then use this as a guide of whether you should have joint accounts. But watch this first if you are thinking about combining your finances, because then this will give you some different insight. For background, we've been married for years and years now, and we have done everything, joint accounts and single accounts and all that kind of thing. So we know what it's like to some degree, but we're going to share with you our thoughts about why you should have separate accounts from each other.
Okay, so the first reason why you and your partner should have separate accounts is if you or your partner have accumulated money before coming into the relationship.
Yeah, obviously reasons. I mean, you would have saved money, invested money, built up all this money before the relationship comes to fruition. And then you get into a relationship, and now you're going to move in together or you're going to get married, and you're coming into this relationship with all of this money accumulated. And this might be from your own savings and things like that, but it might even be like money that you've received from family members and inheritance and all sorts of things. And it begs the question, what does that have to do with your partner? And so this is one reason why you might then think to yourself, actually, sure, we will have joint bills or whatever, but when it comes to this pot of money over here,
it's going to be separate.
That's my money. That's got nothing to do with you. You are not part of this.
Yeah, I absolutely get that, because imagine if your parents, for example, like God forbid, your parents pass away, and then there's like the house is sold, and you get this pot of money. I get why someone would then say, do you know what, this is quite sentimental, it's quite deep, so I'm going to keep the money separate. Completely get it. But if you then also decide like, no, it's fine, I'm in a relationship with someone, we've got an our money mindset, this is our money, that's also fine as well. But I definitely agree, like I get why you then have a separate account for that money.
Yeah, no, totally, because, it's especially potent when your partner doesn't have the same situation. Maybe they're coming into the relationship with not much saved and invested or anything like that, or even in negative, in debt, but then you're coming into it with this money that you've accumulated over the years or you've inherited, and so you might feel like, you don't want to carry, you want your money to be used for both you and your partner. You might just say, we'll start afresh for what's the both of us, but this is we're keeping it separate. So that's the first reason why you should consider having the separation in place.
Now, the second reason why you should have separate bank accounts is if you or your partner have debts that you accumulated before the relationship. And I completely understand this one as well, because when you get into a relationship, not everyone's relationship has that sort of maybe understanding to say, now that we're in the relationship, your debt becomes my debt, we'll deal with it together. And I understand that, because one of you was not responsible for the debt and one of you wasn't involved in making the debt. So it makes sense why you just maybe want to support your partner in clearing up the debt, or just be like a cheerleader and an accountability partner. So I get you then saying, okay, let's have separate accounts because of that particular debt.
Yeah, because I don't want my money to end up funding your debt lifestyle, because there might be in a position where you might not really know their money habits quite yet, and they might be in a position where yes, they are in debt, but they don't see it the way you see it. You're seeing it as a bad thing, something that they need to pay off. Maybe they're comfortable with it. They're like,
it's okay.
It's fine. It's only £10,000, something like that. Like they don't really see it as something that they need to get out of, and so you might then feel like, I don't want anything to do with that debt. So let's make sure that there's a clear line of separation coming up here, because I don't want to end up inheriting your burden and paying your burden off with my money or whatever the case is.
Absolutely. So the third reason why you should have separate bank accounts is you haven't built trust in your financial relationship.
So when you get into a relationship with somebody, you have to understand that you have an emotional relationship, but you also have a financial relationship.
Yeah.
And yes, you love each other from that emotional intimacy perspective, but your financial intimacy is probably not yet developed. You haven't yet kind of figured out how money looks like and works in your relationship, how you both manage your money together, and it's probably too soon to kind of go down the road of joint accounts. It's probably
Yeah.
too soon to kind of say, yes, my money is your money is my money. You're kind of feeling a little bit like, it's not that I don't trust you or love you, but I'm a bit like unsure about this. So you may then at that point say, yeah, let's keep things separate to begin with, and we'll just kind of see how we go on. And over time, as we get more comfortable with each other, we can begin to, open up a bit more about having joint accounts and
Yeah.
things like that. So don't rush this process. It's not something that you just kind of fall into. Don't feel like just because you are in a relationship, there's this pressure to just combine everything.
Yeah.
That's not the case. In this scenario, you can, and in fact, there are many couples right now who are in a very loving relationship, but they've kept everything separate
Yeah.
because that's what works for them. So it's okay to be in that position. You just have to obviously have a conversation with each other, agree about it. But if you definitely feel like you're not there yet to start talking about joint, accounts or my money is your money kind of conversation, then yeah, don't force it. Just say, we're not there yet. Let's
Right,
just keep
yeah.
it separate.
And there's nothing wrong with wanting to build that trust. And I think you're better off doing that
Absolutely.
than maybe just putting yourself in a situation where you don't trust or your partner on a financial level, and then you're just forcing it and then just doing stuff. Because I think you will still always have that thing that, oh, I don't trust them. Anytime they spend money, it's a problem. Anytime they do things with money, it's a problem. But you're better off saying, at the moment, I'm not there yet, so let's build to it, because the moment you start building and once you get there, it will be a beautiful thing, but you don't want to keep doing something that you're not wholeheartedly with or wholeheartedly in. Now, the fourth reason why you should have separate accounts is if your partner's financial habits are a bit suspicious.
Yeah, and they've got a lot of red flags. They've
Yeah.
got things that happen that you just a bit like, what is going on here?
Yeah.
And this goes all the way from like maybe compulsive spending and uncontrolled spending to gambling and just like putting your money towards addictions and things like that. And
Yeah.
so you might be in a position where you have noticed that in your partner, and you're just like, okay, I can't tell them what to do about their money, but I can 100% keep them from touching my money, because
Yeah.
that right there is, I am not
Sus.
funding that.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's not happening. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think you also don't want to put yourself in a position where you, like you were saying, you end up having to fund their gambling addiction or their spending, their spending habits that are out of control and stuff like that. I don't think any of us want to be in a situation where a partner's quite suspicious with money, or they're not really honest. They borrow money from you. They're like, "Oh, I'll give it back to you," and then you never get it back. And the next time, say, "Oh, I'll give it back to you," and you never get it back. It affects way more than just the money side of things. It's also trust. Now, this is another emotion that's now being brought in that could have completely been avoided. So yeah, no, separate accounts if the things are suspicious. Now, the final reason why you should have separate accounts is if you don't want to find yourself dependent on your partner with money.
Yeah, so we've seen situations where couples say, and you probably read about this. So couples, maybe they have a divorce or they're split up, or sadly one of them passes away, and the other partner's like, I have zero idea about what our financial situation is. I have no clue about what savings we've got, what debts we have, what assets we own, no clue whatsoever. Why? Because their partner managed everything. Now, don't get me wrong, it's a beautiful position to be in when you and your partner are in agreement about your financial situation, of course. But don't do it to the detriment of your own ability to manage your money. And so you might then decide to say, okay, we will have these as joint and we will make joint, blah, 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 but I will keep something separate. We'll keep some things separate because I still want to keep my ability to manage my money well. I still want to practice the skill of managing money well.
Yeah.
And so I don't want to find myself caught off guard should something happen to you or even to our relationship, that all of a sudden I am unawares of how to manage anything or how to do anything with anything, because I relied on my partner so much that, like I said, the reliance on your partner it's beautiful. It honestly is.
Yeah.
But then on the downside is that if something does go wrong, or when something goes wrong, depending on whether it's death or divorce, or anything like that, or even health. Your partner might come down with ill health, and now you have to take over everything.
Yeah.
That's such a big headache to take over if your partner's been doing everything, and it's quite a big burden to take over your finances if you have zero ideas about what's been happening. And so you may then choose to have separate accounts to kind of maintain your ability to manage money.
Absolutely. And I think a lot of the times if people are like, oh, we're married or we live together, this is my partner, I've been together for years and stuff, but we have separate accounts, some people tend to look down on that. But I always go back to the fact that if it works for your relationship, then kudos to you, because what works for our relationship will not necessarily work for other people's relationships. And it's having that understanding and coming to that common ground of actually that works for them, that doesn't work for them. And the separate accounts one and the joint accounts is always the big issue, because people just think, well, if you're in a relationship, you have to have joint accounts for every single thing. Have joint accounts for your bills, have joint accounts for your spending money, have joint accounts. And it's like, no,
Exactly.
It doesn't always work like that. But then it's also okay for the ones that want to have joint accounts for everything and the ones that want to have joint accounts for some things and separate accounts for other things, or just have separate accounts completely. The important thing is that you're on the same page and you've agreed that this is the blueprint for our relationship and this is how we're doing it. So separate accounts are also okay.
So let us know in the comments, what do you think about this particular topic, and what do you think about the reasons that we've given? Do you feel like, yeah, you agree with them, you disagree with them? Let us know in the comments and we'll definitely interact with you on there. Now, it has been such a pleasure having a chat with you today about this topic. We'll catch you on the next one.